Thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day, and we'll do the same without wasting a single second of your time. Bada bing, bada boom, we go into the charts. So Bitcoin going sideways since sideways Saturday, as we approach November 26th, Sunday on the Asia session. How do we hold the line and or pump or dump? That is the question. So as we brush our heads up against that 0.65 level that we've rejected off of multiple times along our journey since January to the upside here, do we hold the line or drop to the 618 and below to equilibrium prices down at that 34K that we've been looking for some time? The liquidity draw seems obvious in terms of where all the long stops are positioned, but let's go ahead and take a look in the high block capital. What is high block, you say? Well, people lock that liquidity into the charts to get burnt to a crisp by the market maker for not using a stop loss, and we get to see where those crispy characters are. So let's do it now on the 1 minute. Shout out to everyone here while that loads. Let's go in. I need to log in here. Give me a second. All right. Coming back to that. Okay. So weekend, low liquidity weekend, has no liquidity pinged in. If we go and zoom in here, there's a There's a few pools that were pinged in here, 32 million up in this region, which they came and tapped. Meanwhile, a long pool tapped in at the resistance, which they came down to, or coming down to potentially grab. Just not very noteworthy as the pools dry up over the weekend. But overall, we have this similar draw we were talking about down to the 36,777 region. This entire thick band of long liquidity pinged in from this spike up, which has trapped those traders, so they are underwater from this point. Did they come and sweep the range down to that 36,777 region and also take out this 100x pool, which they left on the table over here at 36,667? We marked that off in the charts on our Binance chart here, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. Just off the bat, so this 37,343 would be a nice little pool to take, but then coming all the way down, sweeping to that 36,667 would be a nice little pool to validate down here. 667, $250 million in long liquidations at 100x value that they could come down and gobble up. The thicker band is to the downside to the tune of $5.82 billion in long liquidity. Let's go to the higher time frame, shall we? So the higher time frame of the 7-day. 7-day has this draw, potential draw to the upside in terms of thicker pools being above. Eventually, when the pivot does happen, they will allow some happy campers to survive as the draw to the downside deepens, and they can no longer sustain an upwards momentum. That could be your last hurrah and start to see this dip and to the downside. Overall draw is thicker down here in that sub 36k region on the 7-day, other than that small band up at 38.8. Looking at the monthly does have those thick bands up at 38.8, basically $30 billion or so. Beyond that point, beyond 39k, there's a gap that would not justify the move just yet. There is a thicker band down 34k. At some point you will come get it. Looking at the 3-month also has that 34k draw. Looking at above, you have double digits, $40 billion up at that 38.8 region on the 3-month. Does it want to sweep the range in its entirety there, going to 39k ish and come down from that point, or not? Let's go to the 6-month. The 6-month time frame does have this 28 billion plus 18. You have about $46 billion up at that 39k mark on the 6-month. Beyond that point, a little bit of tapering at 39.3, so pause up there if it were to go up. The ultimate draw down below at $100 billion or so at that 34k sweep. Two-year, the final destination. You have 49 billion at 38.8, 30 billion 39.2, 31 billion 39.6, 23 billion 40,000, 50 billion 40,004, 46 billion 40,008, 77 billion 41,002. So not that large of pools to go up to justify the draw up. There's a lot more draw to the downside at this point. Heavy positions in profit that they could go to stop out at a moment's notice. The whole Binance thing, what does that mean? I don't know, but the whole CZ paying his laundering, whatever, what is that about? Not really interested in news per se, but there is some sort of catalyzing event that could occur from Binance having to liquidate some positions to pay that fine. Yeah, Anyway, let's go back to the monthly and look at the momentum as we wait on November 26th, Sunday. Shout out to everyone that may or may not be watching. Okay, so we had this potential of this draw to the downside. We've seen 2-3 hits to that bottom and not breaking it here on this level at 37,588. As it just goes sideways for the weekend, let's reassess this and see what's going on. We'll leave the pools and the fair value gap up here at 38 alone and start to build a momentum narrative. Okay, link in the description for more. There is a sale going on if you look over there, and go down to features, toggle at your leisure all of the cool components that are deadly accurate on BTC and NASDAQ and all assets in the world. Stochastic array being one of the more unique ones, a never before seen formula across 7 time frames of information, 32 different indicator values, which is now showing that nuke on BTC. The last time we had that stick anyway on a higher time frame was way back when. So this is locked in on a 4-hour. We had some 4-hour rocket ships down here in September, and sure enough, boom, to the upside. So do we have these 4-hour nukes lock in and bang to the downside? That is the question. The last time we had some nukes that locked in, once again, we went over these the other time. This was the September 7th drop, large drop from there. This one was an inversion at the fair value gap over here in October 6th. This one played out. And yeah, so this one, if I believe we go back to this moment where it was not accurate, let's go ahead and see what was in the cards at that time. So we had the daily time frame essentially overbought and double topping. We had the weekly double topping as well. The momentum on the Williams though was still strong to the upside. We weren't in these regions. This is something to note. If you're in this overbought status on the Williams and the nuke appears, you're more likely to drop. Now, if you're in this upwards momentum path, this Williams could give you that supporting idea, even if you are overbought on the oscillators and the RSI and the money flow on those lower time frames. So ultimately we had this nuke, it paused up, and in that moment you got this buyback wick on the 6th hour. You had this bearish divergence that did not play out, and then it just cascaded to the upside. We never broke the super trend as well. And this was October 15th, 2021. So I'm just going to look at different signs and symbols and things to negate a theory before you consider it to be real or not. So here the super trend has been broken on the 6 hour multiple times, and meanwhile you're getting the cloud less lackluster than back then. If we look at the weekly, let's go ahead and look at the weekly real quick. The weekly Williams is getting overbought. You're getting the money flow and the RSI in the overbought region as well. The last time we did that was up in this region. We started to flip up in here when we got to this level. So we've been doing this overbought status, came down, hit an order block, and continued on the weekly. So the weekly time frame momentum is still bullish until we start to break these the 37K region and start to turn these baselines around. If we look at the 3-day, we're talking about how the 3-day closes in another day's time. This is a weekend 3-day candle, so this weekend 3-day, if it closes beneath these baselines, then we could be seeing in those now 6 to 7 days time a cross down event of the baselines on the 3-day. And if we go to the daily time frame, let's go down the time frame circuit. Daily time frame starting to reclaim this lower baseline to a potential stab up to that 38.5 to clear that range here on the monthly, this 38.750 range perhaps. The tapering of the trend cloud not showing extreme strength, but still overall in this 2 o'clock angle on the daily. Daily time frame starting to slowly but surely make its way up here as you double top on the Williams here, coming to the 22-hour time frame. 22-hour time frame is showing this hold as we start to build, and ever so slightly building this angle up higher. 22. And the 12-hour starting to get this money flow beneath the RSI, suggesting this push up. So this little bit of happiness of the money flow beneath the RSI suggesting that the money flows up into the RSI, meaning a burst up into those pools at 38K and at least to 38K, perhaps 38,550 to clear that range up in here, the 38,750 range. If we go to the 6-hour money flow showing a slight fatigue here and a potential cross down event. So if we go, a lot of times when I feel there is an ambiguous play, I switch shades to the 8-hour, and let's see how the 8-hour holds. The 8-hour did close these in a nuke status, and you're starting to fade on one of the baselines. Money flow is slightly above the RSI here, and you're coming down. You're batting your head against that 0 level on the MACD. Looking at the 6-hour, starting to come down here on the money flow, and a potential cross down of the baselines on the 6-hour time frame here. So we're going to close this candle in the next 6 hours and see if this cross down locks in or not. For the most part, you have a lot of ambiguousness down in this region, but when they play out and play out with the fury, you get a massive downside play. So we're going to see how that 6-hour plays out. 4-hour has already locked in a cross down event. They're fairly stable to look at in terms of cross downs being locked in. You do have some points where they have chop range bound motion within the cross down cross up angles, but when they cross down and cross up, they do play out at least in the direction towards the favor for a while. So taking this 4-hour cross down event to where it wants to go is the overall draw now. The money flow on the 4-hour fading with the 6-hour fatigue potential money flow above the RSI there, suggesting the fatigue is real. If we go to the 1 hour, so there is a lot of mixed signals going on, but overall looks like the 4 and the 6 hour might be bringing this down to the downside. We are fading off of the cloud here on the hourly, and the hourly cloud is starting to curve and we are beneath it. So we could be coming down into those pools. Same analysis as yesterday, essentially unchanged. Trash consolidation is equal to a idiot box, so coming down into that, this is what you would call an idiot box, the trash consolidation B wave. And if we look at the 1 hour time frame, this is now starting to come down here. It is Asia session. Do they have some volume coming off here or not? We have 5 time frames overbought here as per the diamond X's here, and you're fading off of the hourly time frame. So this hourly time frame fade, are you going to see this continue down into this region at the 37.3 and below, or not? Going into the weekly candle close, does the weekly candle close attempt to close strong, or do they offload a position over the weekend, causing this green candle to become red in some shape and make a tweezer top? They have put in, if they put in a red candle, then they will have a lot of liquidity triggered to go short, and they can go up for a double top and then wick down to continue further too. So whatever happens, it will induce liquidity into the chart. So having a red candle after this bullish day might be something they would do after inducing a lot into the bullish candle here. All right, so let's go look at Bitcoin dominance and all that fun stuff, and then we will bid you adieu. Let's look at the total first. We were talking about total coming up to a region here, and it did. Getting some nukes on the altcoins now. The altcoin game, how's that faring? Let's go to Crypto Bubbles to find out. For the day, you got Mana, Gala, Atom, Ape. The funny thing, like the thing that turned me off to the whole altcoin game is like, okay, what has Mana done recently? Like what Decentraland, it was a thing when people were gullible and ready to get in the crypto market space like I was in 2021 or whatever it was. But what have they done since then? It's been nearly 3 years. So let's go to Decentraland and see what they're actually doing. What are they doing? They're basically using like a Roadblocks engine, which anybody makes Roadblocks games. My daughter plays Roadblocks all the time. So they're using an engine that's already publicly available. There's nothing innovative about this, other than the fact they're trying to monetize it for adults and sell companies land inside of it and make it into a monetary thing. But have they actually done anything innovative yet, other than make these items, these digital items for people with too much money? Not really. So a lot of these projects just don't have any follow through. There's that one big game. What is it? The big game? No. There's I don't remember what it was, but let's see. There is basically the Gods Unchained one is one which actually followed through with its promise. This was actually a fun game with AAA development ideas. You know, if you like that type of card game thing, this is a pretty good game. So there are a few projects that actually follow through with what they say and the way they integrate with the immutable chain. I mean, there is something to be said there. So when I see immutable on here, I understand immutable is actually doing stuff. Maybe it's because I'm not interested in mana that I'm saying that right now, but a lot of these, I'm still curious. They seem to be in the Kickstarter stage of funding. So why do people invest their money is the question I have. Like, what it makes them believers. I lost my belief with the whole manipulation of the exchanges, Alameda and whatnot. So if we go to the BTC dominance getting a little bit oversold in the grander narrative here. We have this potential of this breakout here. We're breaking down at the 6-hour cloud though. What is this cloud that I was looking at? I believe it was the 12-hour. Yes, it was. So we broke down at the 6-hour cloud. The 12-hour also starting to flash a potential cross down event here. If the dominance fades, then we will see the alts get a little bit of this downside potential of the dominance fading. The USDT dominance, if we look at the cloud here, still thinning, angle essentially unchanged, maybe widening it up a little bit. But if the USDT dominance makes its way back above the cloud, as of this moment it's rejecting, so it would have to, if it was dumping, it would have to make it up above the cloud again. The cloud on the 12-hour is the only insinuation of potential bearishness in terms of trades. The 22 as well, the angle insinuating that it is fatigued in the entry of longs, meaning when this USDT dominance goes down, that means they're putting money into trades. When it goes up, they're getting kicked back into USDT. So the idea is, if it comes back above this cloud, which is curving in a manner here, you're starting to see the USDT, the trades failing and people getting kicked into USDT. So if we look at this on the daily, coming up to that region, that super trend up there, we had one battered head against the cloud here and the rejection on the cloud. Do we get a second rejection and a second hit to this cloud as we start to shift out here on the USDT dominance? This is almost like an exact opposite of what's happening with BTC. If there is anything you would like to look at while you have me for another few minutes. As we reject off this cloud and the angle on the hourly starts to shift here, do we see this accelerate to the downside? This is the weekend, there's not much going on, but what we were talking about with the 4-hour cross down event now cascading over to the 6-hour. So you have the 6-hour cross down potentially flashing soon. In the next 5 hours, watch out for this cross down event of the 6-hour time frame. Does it play out or not? If it does cross down, you might be seeing some acceleration in that manner. Also, the money flow being above the RSI on the 6-hour was one little clue to take into account. If we look at the 12-hour time frame, the 12-hour is still momentously strong. You would have to see some acceleration candle for it to cross down anytime soon. So unless there is an acceleration down to this 36.6 region, it would be a short-lived short going into the weekly candle close. But as of this moment in time, if we look at the liquidity, there is a liquidity pool to justify our narrative here down to that 36.7 and 36.6 and possibly below 36.2, sweeping this entire liquidity range up, which we have marked off down to that 36.67. Would not be surprised if it does that over the weekend for the remaining of Sunday. Let's go ahead and see what's up. Hey, what's up, MMA Mark? What's going on? So, do we accelerate to those pools or not? That is the question. Getting the cross down event of the 4 hour and possibly the 6 hour is what we're looking at here. If the 6 hour crosses in the next 5 hours 15 minutes, then we could be seeing some acceleration in the London, New York session. We will keep you posted and see how it goes. But that is my story, and I'm sticking to it, unchanged from yesterday. Let's go see how it plays out. And on that note, ladies and gents, thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day, and we'll do the same, bringing the fire, the accuracy, the precision, all that fun stuff, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.